Good evening, everybody, and happy Tuesday. It is now March 2nd, and we are on week number 24 of Autumn Ascent Weekly. And without further ado, we are going to go right into our screens. If I can pick the correct screen, I believe it is this one. All right, so can somebody let me know if you can see my screen? All right, Ginger, thank you. Thank you. So tonight it is March 2nd, and we are on week number 24. And here's what we got going on tonight. So as usual, we're going to do a review of last week's theme, which was confidence. And then we got this week's theme, which is education, and I just called it learning. It sounded weird to me just to say that it was learning, so I put it education, but it's really all about what we're learning. And then we have the action of the week and what is coming up. So to start off our process here, we've got a couple little cartoons. I actually have a couple of them tonight. So if we learn from our mistakes, shouldn't I try to make as many mistakes as possible? I thought that one was pretty good because I always learn from my mistakes, but not everybody looks at it that way. And I really don't want to make as many mistakes as possible, just enough to get me to my end goal. But then there's this one. It's always sit, stay, heal, never think, innovate, or be yourself. So that was just a little humor to get us set off this week. And we are going to go right into last week's review. And last week we talked about confidence. Now, I'm not sure how everybody made out with confidence. We had some actions about being confident. And the deal is that, this is the old Henry Ford quote that most people know, but if you haven't heard it before, I'd be surprised. But whether you think you can or think you can't, you are right. That was a Henry Ford quote. So there's a couple things I want to talk about in the review of confidence. And the first one is that always believe that you can. Confidence is about belief and trusting in yourself. So that self-confidence comes from knowing that whether you win, whether you lose, whether you make it, whether you don't make it, regardless of the outcome, you're still going to be okay. You trust and believe the process. You trust and believe how you're going to feel. It's all good no matter what. So one of those things that we talked about last week that I want to make sure I emphasize this week is you have to make sure you remove those two words, I can't, from your vocabulary. So there's this thing called neurolinguistic programming. Thank you. Had to get that straight in my head. Neurolinguistic programming is your brain and how your brain responds to things, to situations, to words. And the word can't is a very bad word for the brain. So the deal is that if there's something that you can't do, don't say you can't do it. Because when you say you can't, your brain translates that as you will never, you won't, it's not going to happen. So if you say I can't do something, like if I said I can't do a pull-up. Now, if I want to do a pull-up eventually, and I say I can't do a pull-up, my brain, every time I try to test and try and practice pull-ups, my brain is going to be like, no, you can't. We're not going to do this. Period. End of story. So my brain's not going to be engaged whether or not I'm trying to do it or not. And what you want to do instead is change the wording around. Instead of saying I can't, you can use the words up until now, I haven't been able to. So up until now, I haven't been able to do a pull-up, but I will. So up until now, your brain says, okay, up until now you haven't, but you're still working on it. Good, we got this. We'll help you out. We'll keep you going. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows, remove that word can't from your vocabulary. Anytime you catch yourself saying can't, stop and replace it with up until now. If it's something that you want. I mean, if it's something that you really don't want and you can't and you won't and you know you're not going there anyways, well, then use can't if you want to, because that's what you're going to get. Now, The last thing I want to talk about in review of confidence is, this guy here jumping, and this Steve said, who is that? Ginger said, "Is that a photo of me?" No, that is not me. That's a guy jumping from some pillar to another pillar. But when it comes to confidence in anybody is basically the stuff that scares the hell out of you. So when you have that confidence, it's usually because you built it up doing things that were not comfortable. They were out of your comfort zone. But then as you did them, you gained the confidence of knowledge and knowing that you could. So like this guy jumping from here to there. So what scares the hell out of you that you really want to do, but you haven't had the confidence, you lack the confidence to do it? Whether it's having a conversation with somebody that you need to have, or whether it's going back to school, or whether it is looking for a new job, whatever it is that you just haven't built up that confidence yet, it's not there because you're scared. You're scared to go there. You just have to make that leap. And once you do, then that's what builds your confidence. So I am going to tell a little story. Speaking of my stuff here, Ginger, that is me. So this is a picture of me in 2019 at a race called Fit Challenge down in Rhode Island. And Fit Challenge has this obstacle. It's uniquely yours. They created it. It's called the Destroyer. This is what I am on right now, and I'm actually at the top of it. Now, this obstacle is over 15 feet high. I know it's at least 15 feet high because it's at least 3 times higher than I am. And I need a boost to get on, just to get onto the bottom of the obstacle to get up and over it. Now, I don't think you can see me too well in the picture, but if you look at my hand, if you can see my picture, it's kind of inverted. So when you first get on it, you're going up this way and then up this way, and then going over the top. Actually, it's this way, then this way, and then the reverse coming down. So, and it's really high. Now, you're just using these little handhold things to pull yourself up. Now, I have always had this fear of heights. Now, in my obstacle course racing, I have overcome most of my fear of heights, though sometimes when I get on certain obstacles, that it's not the height that has me, it's the confidence that I can get off of it. Now, this was back in 2019, and I had already done this obstacle multiple times with assistance. And I remember the very first time I got on it, I was scared to death. Where I am in this picture right now, this is the top. You've got to go up over this bar and then down the other side, which is now going this way. So you're actually coming down this way. So if you come across the top, you're kind of hanging down, which is scary enough as it is. And then you got to get your feet on, and then it goes out a little bit. And then I'll show you in a sec where you end up from there, because it's not done. So the very first time I did it, literally, I had 2 guys who were in the race, and they were on my side. They were like, "We're going to make sure you get over this." And with their help, I got over it. So that started building my confidence. It started making my brain go, okay, yeah, I had help, but I did it. I mean, they helped me and, pushed when they needed to push, but, all the stuff that I could do, I did. So there was a lot of me in there doing that. So yeah, I got this, I can do this. So in 2019, when this picture was taken, and you'll see the whole obstacle when I show you this picture, this is where it is. So you're inverted here, then you go up here, then you go over the top, come under here, down there, and then you have to go across these crazy tire things, which up until 2019, I had never, ever got across because they wobble. So if your foot isn't dead center on it, you fall off. I don't know if you can see this guy who's behind me, but he's falling off right now. And if you see this guy right here, who is videotaping him, I know you don't know this. I know this. This guy has an OCR Worlds shirt on. He is an elite racer. He fell off. Now, for the first time ever in 2019, not only I did get a boost to get up here, because as you can see, these people are tall, and you have to like get up on it first. And once you get up and on it, you go over, and then as you're coming down, you don't hit the ground here. You go from here onto the tires, and you have to go all the way across. And I've always made it maybe to the second tire before I fell off. Well, this time, 2019, I made it all the way across. I was never so happy and so proud of myself. And this woman here, she was actually racing beside me as we were doing it. And she asked me a couple times as I was going across the tires, because I was a little wobbly. And she said, "I'm here if you need me. If you need me, hold on to my shoulder." And I'm like, "I got this. I got this. I got this." Knowing that she was there actually helped build some of my confidence. So sometimes you need somebody along with you, alongside, to help you build that confidence. But then once you do it, oh my gosh, I'm going to be seeing this obstacle on April 10th. I'm going back down to do this race again. It's my first race of the season this year. It's been a year and a half or so since I've been on the obstacle. Now, in my brain, as I go do this obstacle, I know I'm going to walk up to it and I'm going to go, "Oh crap, I'm not so sure about this." But then, because we all do the self-talk, but then you catch yourself. And I know I'll do this because it seems to be a routine in my head. I say, "Oh, I'm not so sure about this." And then I stop, and I literally stop and bring back the memory of when I did it. So these pictures, this memory is going to be dead center in my head. I'm going to walk up to this obstacle and go, "You know what? You did it. Not only did you do it, you got all the way across the tires. You've got this. Piece of cake." So that's what confidence is all about. Sometimes it takes a little building. Sometimes you need a little help. But confidence is so easy to build. You have to let it in, though. And you have to, if you need the help, get the help. But it's always outside of your comfort zone. So as you're working on your confidence, think about these things. Think about the things that you've done in your life that before you did them, you were basically scared to death about it. And then all of a sudden you did it. Maybe you got up to speak on stage for the first time. And I know the very first time I ever got up in public to speak, I was working in corporate world and I had to do a presentation for a bunch of managers. And it was the first time I ever got up and had to do a specific kind of scripted presentation. And I don't even remember what I said. I got up and I did what I did, and they said it. Everybody said it was fine and it was all good. But when I was finished, I don't remember a word I said. I was shaking like a leaf. For days, I was just on edge because I was so scared. But then I thought back and I was like, yeah, but you did it. So sometimes you just have to take that jump. There's a few things here in the chat. Let's see. Steve was talking about he had to learn how to get a patent. He had to learn how to write a business plan. He had to learn he got his degree. He can learn anything really well. There you go. As we go into learning, there we go. and yeah, so yep. So that's everything that's there in the chat. So that's all I wanted to say about confidence. Just keep at it, because confidence is something that you just keep at building all your life. I mean, if you have a lack of confidence, chances are pretty good. People who say they have a lack of confidence, we said this last week, they don't lack confidence in everything. There's some things that they're absolutely positively confident in. It's a certain thing. So if there's something that you lack confidence in, hit it face on, and just find out what it is and say, what do I need to do to build my confidence in this area? Trust me, if I can do this, you can do that. As you can see, I am not an elite athlete. Now, yes, I am very proud because I am standing here as not an elite athlete, and this guy behind me is an elite athlete, and he fell off. Shh, I didn't say that. All right, so moving on into this week, we're going to talk about education, learning. I was saying earlier, the word, if I said the theme is learning, it just sounded a little weird. So I changed it to education, but it's really all about learning. So what is learning? And this is from the Merriam-Webster dictionary. And the first one kind of cracks me up: an act or experience of one that learns. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, that was kind of like a duh. So, now, the second and the third one, those are the two that I look at. Knowledge or skill acquired by instruction or study. That's what we normally think. or modification of a behavioral tendency by experience. So that's where we talk about, that stuff that we're conditioned to do things as babies. As young children, we don't know some of the stuff that we know as adults. And there's things that we don't do as adults that we call limiting beliefs now as we grow up, because we were taught certain things. So we learned as a child certain behaviors. And between the ages of 3 and 8 is when they say most of your limiting beliefs are created. And so we grow older. And then as we grow older, I was going to say grow old, but we'll say older. And as we grow older, we get to that point in our lives where all of a sudden we're scared to do something, or we hesitate or something because of some limiting belief that we learned back when we were 3 to 8 years old that doesn't serve us anymore. So now on things that you learn, learning is not just book stuff. It's not just learning what you need for your job, not just K through 12 or going to college. It's not just about that. You learn every single day. And if you stop and think about it, even if you're home on a day and you spend the entire day on the couch, chances are pretty good you have TV or the radio or a book or something. You are learning something every single day. So learning really is one of those things that when people say they aren't lifelong learners, or they hate teaching, they hate education, stuff like that, not true. You're learning stuff all the time. When they think about that kind of stuff, they're thinking about a specific, well, I don't want to learn how to work my computer. I don't want to learn how to use a table saw. I don't want to learn certain things, but there's other things that we go through our lives that we're learning every single day. So I have a couple things to maybe teach you just to have a little bit of fun for things that you are going to learn maybe tonight, or maybe you saw this, maybe you saw it on Facebook. I saw some of these on Facebook. So did you know, here's some things for you to learn today, some little useless things to learn. Did you know that there's a symbol inside of the FedEx logo? Anybody know what it is? I'm looking over at the chat. If you know what it is, shout it out. Because once you see it, you will never unsee it. Did anybody ever know that the FedEx logo has an arrow built into it on purpose for travel? Anybody? It's quiet in the chat. All right, well, let's do this one. How old were you when you realized there's an 8 inside of the middle of the 8 of diamonds? Did you ever notice that before? Right there. Another one of those things. Once you see it, you'll never unsee it if you play cards. How about this one? I learned this one today, and I had to go look it up. I was today years old when I found out that shriveled fingers means that they're adapting to have grip underwater. I went out and I looked at a Scientific American study, which says this, and your feet when they shrivel up. That's why they shrivel up in water, because underwater it provides channels so that the water goes through, so it improves your grip underwater. It's not that you've just been in the bath too long. It's your body adapting to the water so it can get a better grip. And I looked at a couple studies and I was like, well, that was something I learned today. How about this one? This one's been around, so you might know this one already. But did you know that all those little marks on the Solo cup actually have a meaning? So way down the bottom here, this first one down here is the 1 ounce mark, and then you have the 5 ounce mark, and then you have the 12 ounce mark. So if you happen to be pouring some beer or some wine or some other liquor, and you want to be conscious and, fill it up the right way. Kim says she knew the solo cup one, of course. I got one more for you. It's another logo. Have you ever actually looked at the Staples logo? So remember, the name of the store is Staples. The L in the Staples logo is a half open staple. Again, one of those things that now that you've seen it, you will never unsee it. Anybody learn something new today? Kim says, yep. All right, moving on to a little bit more serious. So how many, I think pretty much everybody who's on the call and a lot of people who will be listening have at one time or another read some kind of self-help book, so went to a seminar, went to an online webinar or something. They went to a conference, whatever it was, and learned a bunch of stuff. And they came back with some binder from some conference that they went to. And then once they learned it and they went there, it was great. You got through the book, you got through the webinar, you got through the conference, and you came out all rah, and then it ended up on the shelf. So was that really self-help or was it shelf help? The books don't do you any good if you don't retain the information. So there's a lot of people out there who are just lifelong readers and they just read and read and read and read, but don't necessarily maintain everything. And then there's other people out there who just love learning. And I wanted to point out this. Back when I was doing my whole being and positive psychology certification, one of the things that they had us do is they had us go out to the VIA Institute. And the website is right here for you to jot down. So the VIA Institute, and I'll put it in the Facebook page too. There is a survey there, and everybody has there's 24 character strengths that we have. And what the survey does is it rates your character strengths. Now, every one of them is a strength. So there's 24. So number 24, just because it's 24 doesn't mean it's not a strength. It's just not one of your predominant strengths. And when I went through the survey, go figure, my number one character strength was love of learning, followed by fairness, hope, and humor. So those were my top 4. But love of learning, they're in the full character strength, the full VIA information, which I actually have anybody that I do one-on-one work or group work with. We do these character analyses because we go back through analysis. We go back through and we use that to our advantage, because when you know what your character strengths are, you know where you can build and play with things. And when you have a good knowledge of what the character strengths mean, there's so many things that you can do. One of the things that we did during our program is we did what we called strength spotting. So we would go through and we knew what people's character strengths were, and then we would do presentations and we would strength spot. Wow, that was the presentation she gave. That there was a lot of hope. There was a lot of humor. There was there's so many of them. I'm floundering because I know I have it right here. So we have I'll read you the 24 character strengths. There's appreciation of beauty and excellence, bravery, creativity, curiosity, fairness, forgiveness, gratitude, honesty, hope, humility, humor, judgment, kindness, leadership, love of learning, perseverance, perspective, prudence, self-regulation, social intelligence, spirituality, teamwork, and zest. Those are the 24. Yes, I know I went through them quick. Visit viacharacter.org if you want to check them out. But love of learning was my number one. Now, you can overdo love of learning and you can underdo love of learning too. So when you overdo it, then you kind of come off as a know-it-all. And I am the first person who will be like, I do not know it all. I will never know it all. I'm good with that. I love learning. I just want to continually learn. And then on the other side of the scale, you have complacency. So, you don't want to do anything. You don't want to learn anything. You don't want to do anything. You're going to learn stuff anyways, because you have to learn stuff as you go along your life. So it doesn't matter. You're always going to be learning. It's whether you're learning something useful or not. So I really highly suggest, if you're interested, to go out to the viacharacter.org and take the survey and just see where you show up. Now, I have to tell you, when I did the survey, like I said, it was love of learning, fairness, hope, humor, and where's my number 5? Because I don't even remember what my number 5 was. Oh, gratitude. Number 5 was gratitude. So I don't know why I forgot that. But here's the thing. Perseverance, that I thought, I'm all about perseverance. I'm all about just keep at it until I get it. Keep at it until I get it. Keep at it. Tenacious perseverance. The obstacle courses, all that kind of stuff. Keep at it till you get it. Perseverance was number 24. I actually got kind of pissed off at that. I was mad when I first did this. I was like, those aren't my top 5. I have other ones that should be in my top 5. And then I actually realized the survey was right. Because when I stopped and paid attention to what I was actually doing, the love of learning, the fairness. So love of learning is obviously mastering and adding new knowledge. And then fairness is about unbiased and adherence to principles. My 3 was hope, which is positive future mindedness. And then 4, humor, which is playful and lighthearted. And then 5, gratitude, is thankful and appreciative. And when I actually looked at the essence of what each one of those was, I realized that, wow, that's right. They actually did get me spot on there by filling out the survey. So I recommend that you go through that. And if you want any information about it and you go through it and you have any questions, I do a free 30-minute conversation. I'm happy to chat about anybody's via character strength analysis if you like. So moving along, let's see, did I cover everything I wanted to cover? Oh, yeah. So on the love of learning and all these things that we're learning, I did want to bring up one thing. We're getting all this stuff in the books, and there's all kinds of different things that we learn through our lives. Now, when K through 12, I wasn't a big fan of grade school. I got into college. I learned that I didn't love computer work. All the people who are out here who know that I was into computers for a long time, I didn't love computer work. It just came natural to me. So when I started taking them in college back in 1981, 82, it just came natural. And so I just ran with it because, I needed something to run with. So I did it. But then as I started growing and I got my first corporate job, in my corporate career, I don't think I was ever in a position. I worked for Marshall's for 8 years. And within that 8 years, I think I moved 6 different times to different positions. Now, a couple of them were in the warehouse, and that was before I became a programmer. And then once I became a programmer, I said, okay, I got the programming thing down. Now what? I wanted to learn something new. So then I got into networking. And then I said, okay, now what? And then I got into the Microsoft certification stuff. And I said, now what? So I was continually wanting to learn. And as I learned, I kind of migrated and moved around and shifted as to what I was doing. And I mean, I took any course that I could find. My love of learning extends not just to regular certification and college classes, but I don't know if anybody knows the organization. I think it's Skillsoft Seminars or Skills Seminars, something like that. And they teach all kinds of different skills, soft skills, communication, and all kinds of different programs that they have. And I literally, every time I got a booklet in the mail from them, I signed up for at least 1 or 2 or 3 courses. They were all like one day deals. Had signed up. I've got all these little certificates all over the place of all of these courses that I took because I just wanted to learn more and more. But some of that stuff, I mean, what was it useful for? After my mother passed away in 2013, when I was really trying to figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up, and I turned 50 that year, I went back to school and I got a dual certificate from the University of Colorado Boulder in sustainability, Why? Because I love sustainability. I love being green, all that kind of stuff. So I said, well, maybe I'll try to do something with that. Turns out that I really couldn't find a corporate job or anything doing that. So kind of went by the wayside. But I got all this knowledge, and I had all this knowledge from the computer stuff. I had all this knowledge from all those other little courses. And then, of course, I don't know about you, I love watching documentaries and stuff on TV, especially if they're about nature or anything like that. So I was constantly learning things. But a lot of that stuff, really, unless you go to a trivia night, what are you doing with that information in your head? If you actually stopped and think about all the information that you have, up until now that you have put into your head, amazing the amount of stuff that you know. And the thing is that there's stuff in your head that you know that you don't even realize that you know. It blows your mind how it works. So I did want to, before we move on, go to one thing, which is, speaking of trivia pursuit. So this will hopefully be an easy one, but I'm going to see if you learned something. So if I asked you the question and said, what is the second full moon in a month called? Who knows what the second full moon in a month is called? Steve put it right out there. Everybody know, does everybody here know that the second full moon is called a blue moon? Did everybody know that? Let me rephrase that. Did anybody not know that? Full Moon 2, the sequel. Good one. So at some point in your life, I'm going to take it that everybody knew that the second moon is a blue moon. And they went, well, yeah, it's a blue moon. At some point in your life, you had no clue that the second moon was a blue moon until somebody taught you that. Somebody at some point told you that the second moon of the month is a blue moon. And it actually showed up on a trivia pursuit card. So all of this information that we're taking in all of the time is not necessarily useless information. It can come in handy sometimes, especially if you're into trivia. All right, moving right along. Lifelong learning. So this is my last education slide. Just because, again, learning is one of those topics we could talk for hours on, especially because it's my number one love. And, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Isn't that the saying? Right? Well, I know a guy, I'm going to say I had a guy. He's no longer with us. He is actually pretty long gone. His name was Jason. And Jason, when I had my first computer company called Computing Made Simple, back in 2003, this gentleman, Jason, called me up and he said he wanted to learn how to work a computer. And he wanted to learn how to work a computer so that he could talk to his family that lived a distance away. Jason was 91 years old. And he decided at 91, he was going to learn how to use the computer. So when you say you can't teach an old dog new tricks, I don't believe it. Fake news. You can teach anybody anything as long as they want to learn it. So the question is, what is it that you want to learn? When was the last time that you read a nonfiction book? Maybe one of the self-help books or a documentary book, something on, Civil War or something that interests you, or attended a course, or picked up a new hobby, tried a new sport or exercise, or creatively fixed something in your house. I added that one in there too, because every time something breaks in your house, has anybody here gotten really creative on how they're going to fix something? I put duct tape to the rescue because I'm brilliant with duct tape. Not everybody knows that, but I am brilliant with duct tape. If you look around my house and see certain things that may be a tad bit broken, I fixed them with duct tape. I've learned that I can fix a lot of things with duct tape. so butter knife does everything. There you go. I never thought about that before, Diane, but you're absolutely right. I'm guessing a butter knife would make a great screwdriver too, right? Right? So you learn these things. Have you ever been on Facebook and seen one of those posts where somebody gives like this ingenious use of a paperclip or a button or something else, and you're like, oh, wow, never even dawned on me, never even thought of doing that. You learned something. So learning is not just about, what you need to learn for your job or what you're learning in college or what you're learning for your career for, if you have your own business. So I'm in the process of learning a lot of stuff that has to do with marketing for my business. Taking courses. I'm literally online in some kind of webinar every single day. And I'm learning more and more about marketing. But that's not everything I'm learning every day. I mean, I have an 8-month-old puppy here. I've learned that puppies do some weird things that I didn't know that puppies did. I also learned that he sheds a lot, but that's another story. So there's lots of things that we're learning every day. So that brings us into our actions of the week. So our action of the week, for those who choose to play along, and if you want to add some value to yourself here with this, as you're learning, when I say learn something new every day, you're learning, whether you think it or not, you're learning something new every day. So what I want you to do is I want you to pay attention to what you're learning and start a learning journal and jot down things that you've learned every day. If you have something that you've learned that you went, oh my God, I have to share this, put it on our Facebook page. Feel free to type in anything out on that page is out there for us to share and to interact. So by all means, go out there and share something that you've learned this week. And as you're learning new things, if you have something that you think would be of value to everybody else, please share it, because just because one person knows what a blue moon is doesn't mean the other person knows what a blue moon is. You don't know until you know, because somebody taught you, right? So maybe you want to learn maybe there's a big thing here that you want to learn. You want to learn a new instrument, or you want to learn how to do some kind of construction. You want to learn a new language, or maybe you just want to read some good documentaries or self-help books or something. Maybe you want to learn how to ski. Yeah, we've got this guy down here trying to snowplow down here. So now I use the term snowplow. How did I know that? If you asked me before I learned how to ski what snowplowing was, I wouldn't have had a clue until somebody taught me and put me up at the top of the baby hill and pushed me and said, put your feet together, but don't let your skis cross. It's called snowplowing. You learn something all the time. Does anybody have any questions at all about education and learning, or want to share anything about education or learning? I'll give you a couple minutes to type anything in the chat. So yes, the butter knife does everything. All right, just checking back through the chat here. All right, so if you're typing anything in, we will read through that, but we have upcoming. I just spoke with Shante Douglas today, and she is all set for March 9th. She is going to be earlier than our usual third week of the month. So Shante, again, she has that unique heart method tools that she works with, which I don't know about you, but I know nothing about. So I think we're going to learn a lot from Shante next week about heart math tools. So I'm pretty excited about that. And then on March 16th, we have success. March 23rd is about change. March 30th is about overcoming fear. And then on April 6th, we go into self-worth. And let's see, Steve G just wrote down, learning from my dings, dents, and scars has been the best. Absolutely. Did you ever notice that, some of those things that give you those big dings, dents, and scars are like the coolest and best things ever that you've learned in your life when you look back and you're like, man, I would have never had that experience if this didn't happen. I would never know this and wouldn't have this clarity about whatever it is if this didn't happen. We're always learning. So keep up your learning. My favorite, it's his favorite stories to teach with. Absolutely. I read your posts all the time. There's always a story in there. And Diane says on learning school only teaches you a third of what you need to know for a job. That's true. I just read an article the other day that said, I think it was on LinkedIn, maybe it was a post, but it said something about hiring people for their attitude and their personality over their skills, because you can teach just about anybody to do the job. But if they don't have the personality and the right attitude, then they probably aren't going to work out anyways. They might know how to do the job, but if they don't have the right personality and attitude to fit in with the rest of the group, they're probably going to leave really quick. So there's this idea about not hiring necessarily for skills, but hiring for personality and attitude, and then teaching them the skills when they get in. So there you go. All righty. So if nobody has anything else, we will finish up. Let me find my stop share here, which seems to be underneath my webcam. And I want to say thank you very much to everybody for attending and participating tonight. I hope you found some value in it. And thank you, Ginger. And thank you, Diane. Thank you everybody for being here on live. And if you're catching it on the replay, by all means, go out into the Facebook page and type in any comments or questions you might have. And until next week, we'll see you soon. Have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye.